We can now go across to France 24. Shona Bhattacharyya standing by in Adana, Turkey. Shona, Turkish authorities have just announced a 3-month state of emergency. Just talk us through how bad things really are there.
Well, actually, I'm in Hatay, in Antakya, the city where part of that report that we just played um, was filmed, and I can confirm everything in that report. It is a nightmare. It is apocalyptic. We are in a war zone without the violence. I mean, you have dozens upon dozens upon dozens of buildings, of residential buildings, of commercial centers, of petrol stations, of stores. I mean, if the buildings, some buildings are still standing, but they're completely to one side. They're diagonally standing. It's just a matter of time before they collapse completely. We spoke to people who were desperately crying. I mean, desperately looking for help to get their family members out of the rubble, and some people saying that just a few hours ago they could still hear the voices of their loved ones trapped under the rubble, but that as time went on, those cries became more and more faint, and that they stopped hearing them altogether. Now, the emergency services have started coming in. Finally, we have seen in the last few minutes several military helicopters with aid, but until now, the means that these rescue teams had, the ones that had arrived a few hours earlier, were insufficient. They didn't have the bulldozers or the cranes to lift up these sunken buildings that are sometimes several stories high and that house sometimes hundreds of people, and with many of them still trapped.
And Shona, residents are trapped amid freezing temperatures. Talk us through, destruction in terms of infrastructure, in terms of roads. How did you yourself and the team get there?
Well, we are based in Istanbul, and we flew by plane to Adana Monday night. That flight itself was very complicated because it was delayed by 3 hours for weather conditions. Even in Istanbul, the winds were so strong that planes were not always taking off on time. Many other flights to Adana and other parts of the affected areas were just canceled. But once we arrived in the area, Adana is one of it is in the earthquake zone in the areas that are affected, but it is less affected than many other cities, much less than here in Antakya and Hatay, for example. There are about a dozen, less than a dozen buildings that collapsed, and there are dead there. There are injured as well, but the scale of destruction is not as big. The roads are generally in okay condition. The only airport that is closed because it was damaged in the earthquake is the one here in Antakya in Hatay. And one of the reasons, it's important to know, one of the reasons that Hatay in particular is so damaged is because even though we are at more than 200 kilometers from the epicenter of the earthquake, it is along the same fault, the seismic fault that goes directly to where the epicenter happened in Kahramanmaraş. So the infrastructure is poor. We're talking about roads, but also electricity. Some places are out of electricity. With other places, you have gas pipes that are broken. You have fires that are breaking out. Phone service is also very spotty. In the center of the city of Antakya, we had absolutely no service whatsoever. Now we are a little bit on the outskirts of the city, and we have it here. It's just very unpredictable, and it's a very moving, chaotic, and frankly, it's really apocalyptic situation we have here. You can hear the sirens. It is a nightmare.
Shona, while you were speaking, we were displaying images on the screens of apocalyptic scenes. We had Turkey's president who spoke a short while ago, and he announced a 3-month state of emergency. He did say that 70 countries had offered their help to Turkey. From what you're seeing, is it just Turkish teams who are doing the relief right now, or when you were through the airport, did you see international organizations? What did you see?
Yes, I saw a plane arriving from Romania. But this is such a large area, affected area. It's over 8 provinces. So even though Adana is a hub for those rescue teams, be they domestic or international, the international rescue teams are outnumbered, thankfully, by the Turkish rescue teams. who are growing in number and number, as not only the professionals are here, but also many volunteers coming in from all over the country, from all over Turkey, to help. There is a French team that we've been in contact with, but the communication was so bad, the network was so bad, we weren't really able to have a conversation. But they are here as well, and people are just waiting for them to do their jobs and help out.
Shona, thank you very much. Keep us updated. Shona Bhattacharyya reporting that for us from
Thank you
Hatay.
so much. Thank you.